Well, let's go ahead and finish strong. We've got just a little bit of material left to cover. This is part 5 of chapter 6, Digital Locksmithing, Cryptography and Encryption. So let's just jump right in and finish this strong. We're going to take a look at legal and ethical issues in cryptography. Yeah, you might not think about this, right? But there are indeed legal implications. So, it is a critical tool in most security frameworks. That protection, as we've talked about throughout this chapter, of data while in transit and at rest. And there are various government legal and ethical considerations to consider. Okay? So, understanding as a cybersecurity, understanding the legal aspects, understanding what rules, what regulations at the local, state, and federal level that your particular business needs to follow. And we'll look at a couple of those key areas here in just a minute, right? So regulations ensure responsible use of cryptographic methods, making sure that we're using minimal cryptographic records, making sure that we are encrypting personal identifiable information that we're holding on our customers, right? That we need to protect through encryption so that if a bad actor does get into our network, they're not able to get plain text data, right, that they could utilize. So, prevent infringement of individual rights or all the way up to national security. So, export controls are countries, including the U.S., impose restrictions on exporting cryptographic technologies. One of my favorite examples is at the time that I was finishing my master's degree with Concordia University, there was a big thing making waves regarding China. China was asking Cisco to provide them with the de-encryption keys for the encryption and cryptographic technologies built into their routers and switches, right? So that they could decrypt that data. And that was, a really interesting thing. This came at a time when I was heading over to Suzhou, China to actually finish up a option on my master's degree for international business, and we were going to be there and we were learning there, and I definitely got to see firsthand the Chinese firewall, which as a hacker I had to get around so that I could post pictures of my experience on Facebook, right? And I used a VPN from China, VPN'd into the US, into my network at home, and then was able to get on Facebook. And this was back, just in 2010 when the internet was not as fast as it was today. So, those export controls aim to prevent, adversaries from using unauthorized activities. Example would be China asking for that. Yes, they could decrypt information or, data that was flowing as it pertained to their citizens. But what else could they do with those codes, right? As it pertains to world security, our own security, had Cisco have given them codes. And obviously they said, no, that's not going to happen. So privacy laws, we've already talked about a few of these. GDPR, plays into cybersecurity, into encryption. It requires organizations to implement technical and organizational measures, including measures, including encryption. So of the GDPR, which, by the way, as a reminder, stands for the General Data Protection Regulation. In Article 32, it highlights encryption to protect personal data, but leaves specifics to data controllers. Now, I would expect that to change, especially as we talk about this next topic, which is the impact of quantum computing on current cryptographic technologies that we use today. So industry regulations, so the PCI DSS, the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, requires 128-bit, encourages AES 256-bit encryption for credit cards and credit card information when stored at rest, right? It's protected when it's transferring from your computer to that organization who's going to charge your credit card, with SSL TLS. So, we've got that covered there. And, of course, it's even further covered by that session key that's encrypting just based on that session. But then, as you save that credit card on site so it's convenient to purchase something else with the one-click shopping cart, which means those organizations need to protect your credit card information. They need to encrypt it. So, healthcare and HIPAA, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, talks about electronic PHI, personal health information, which we already know about, emphasizes encryption during transmission to ensure privacy and security. And by the way, it emphasizes transmission not just over the internet, but between devices in a secure network, okay? So does not specify exact cryptographic, and again, these legal implications, I think, will be further addressed as to the level of encryption that's going to be used here very shortly. We are very close to quantum computing impacting all of this, much closer than you may think. So we do need to balance privacy and security. So we've already talked about this, from a level of data. It holds with encryption, with privacy. Cryptography ensures individual privacy by enabling secure communication, protecting that personal information as we transfer it in our organizations or, over the big I internet. Ethical use, so, respects individuals' privacy rights without infringing on it. We are securing their data. We are responsible for that personal identifiable information that we are storing as it pertains to our customers and as it pertains to our employees. So keep that in mind as well, right? We have to protect everyone's PII. So surveillance, so cryptography, can enhance privacy, but also allow, evasion of lawful surveillance. So, let's say I put up a camera where I shouldn't be allowed to put up a camera, and then I encrypt the traffic, utilize the Tor onion router to gain access to it. That would be unlawful, right? So ethical considerations involving balancing, again, individual privacy protection and enabling legitimate surveillance for public safety. So, right now we're going back and watching that show entitled Person of Interest, where there's this big computer and AI and it tracks people. And gosh, you got to wonder how much of that is being done in the society today. Is that just fiction or is that actually nonfiction? So anyway, no conspiracy theories here, just fact from what we know and from what we're learning. So transparency and accountability, ethical cryptography uses, involves organizational transparency and accountability, knowing that we're not keeping data illegally, that we're not encrypting data that we don't want others to see, but we are in fact protecting our data and protecting the data of our customers, right? So, must ensure cryptographic methods protect data, but do not obscure unethical activities. That's the key there, okay? Surveillance, we've already talked about. Cybersecurity professionals, though, must be aware of, GDPR. Today, it's a global world, and what that means is even your small company in Prineville, Oregon may do business with customers, in which case, in areas of Europe where you're going to be required to follow GDPR for your customer, your software, your services provided that may be stored and housed, that customer data, whether it's storing here in the US or over in Europe. Of course, if you're taking any sort of credit cards, you're going to be required to follow, or your credit card provider, okay, will have to follow PCI DSS. I remember at one point I was involved with an organization who every month had to do some penetration testing, pretty simple stuff, just firewall, port scanning, stuff like that, as part of their PCI DSS compliance. So HIPAA, of course, we've talked about, must also navigate ethical dilemmas to respond and enhance privacy and security. That idea that, if that algorithm suddenly becomes vulnerable, what are we going to do to further protect, our customer, our own data, our employees' data, etc. Okay. So, for example, there's a video going around. I don't know how legit it is, where a person used a Raspberry Pi to basically thwart the cryptographic technologies used in Windows clients, thus being BitLocker. So kind of interesting there. Is it really as easy as they make it out to be? So quantum cryptography, so quantum computing, this is definitely going to be the big impact. Right now, just since November of 2023? November of 2023, AI, ChatGPT, utilizing large language models, the impact it's had on cybersecurity, both from a positive and a negative aspect, people able to write code who don't know how to write code, etc. And then shortly, here comes quantum computing. And quantum computing does lead to good things. It leads to quantum cryptography, right? Utilizes the principles of quantum mechanics to secure data. It is going to skyrocket. It's going to exponentially improve on cryptographic methods. But keep in mind that, as I think we've discussed earlier, and if not, we'll reiterate it again, the harder it is to encrypt data and decrypt data, the longer that process, the longer it takes, the slower communications are. So there always has to be that balance, right? But quantum key distribution, so secure communication method using quantum mechanics, okay, allows two parties to generate a shared secret random key for encryption and decryption based on what? Based on quantum states, okay? So quantum states is going to skyrocket the possibilities of past the digital ones and zeros that we know today to create encryption keys based on more than just those simple ones and zeros. Okay. So, although nascent, not, in play today, not a standard today, QKD has an immense potential for revolutionizing secure communication. From the aspect of, well, if you don't have a quantum computer, you're not going to be able to decrypt, right? So quantum encryption secures data using principles of quantum mechanics, promises theoretically unbreakable security. Now, of course, unbreakable to whatever comes after quantum computing. We're not suddenly done after quantum, right? Who knows where we go from there. So exciting research area for sure. Impact. So, quantum computers pose a significant threat to current cryptographic systems. And I want to share one of those threats with you right now. So in this section in the textbook, I have a little small section called Decrypting 128-bit AES. With today's computing power, decrypting 128-bit AES encryption key using a brute force attack with current classical computing technologies, with the best supercomputer we have, would take 3.4 times 10 to the 38 possible keys. So that's 10, add those zeros, all of those zeros, times that by 3.2, and that's the possible keys. Even with the fastest computers today, it is estimated the task would take billions with a B of years. Now let's look at what happens when we bring in quantum computing. Now let's understand that we're not dealing directly with ones and zeros. There's some estimates being made here, okay? But quantum computers utilizing algorithms such as Shor's algorithm have the potential to significantly reduce the time required to break cryptographic keys. While exact decryption times are speculative, until quantum computing reaches a mature stage, right? it is estimated that a sufficiently powerful quantum computer could break 128-bit AES encryption in a matter of hours or days. Hours or days. So that means, let's just say a government agency wants to get in a phone. They have access to quantum computing. Apple's not going to give them the decryption key. They could figure it out within hours or days, versus now not being able to figure it out at all. Okay. So again, there is that threat. The mathematical problems can be calculated and run exponentially faster, meaning that encryption and decryption on quantum could be exponentially faster. Okay. What does that mean? It means we're going to have to develop new cryptographic algorithms that are more secure, against quantum computer attacks, which means AES is going to fall by the wayside. Apple just released onto their systems, iMessage in particular, a new what they call quantum resistant encryption algorithm. I think it's called Q3 or P3. Don't hold me to that. You can look it up. So it is designed, to resist enhanced computational power. So they're already looking ahead to say, we know quantum is going to impact. So in this session, we talked about the importance of cryptography, its role with cybersecurity professionals needing to know SSL and TLS and AES and, all of those encryption algorithms, knowing the encryption methodology so that you can understand how is that Windows 11 machine, how is that disk drive protected, how is that phone that our CEO uses, how is the data on that phone protected, right? Significance of hashing. We talked about hashing as it pertains to software, digital certificates, secure communication channels, key management, countermeasures against cryptographic attacks. Of course, what were the big ones that we saw? Keeping systems up to date, ensuring long, complex passwords and passphrases. Those are big, right? Legal and ethical considerations, future challenges and opportunities as it pertains to quantum and its impact on current cryptographic methodologies, and finally, continuous learning for cybersecurity professionals. There is change going on, like in other industries, like in other areas of cyber, every single day. And so, understanding why Apple did what they did with their new encryption algorithm, why they're getting ahead of the game, those kind of things are hugely important. So understand that in this career, you're going to have to continue to learn. You're going to have to continue to certify. Technologies are going to change, and you're going to have to know about those technologies so that you can secure them. So that's it for Chapter 6. I will see you for Chapter 7, entitled Fortify the Foundation. We're going to be taking a look at network and endpoint security. So until then, have a great time, continue to study, and enjoy the experience. Take